Thank you very much for returning. First of all, if you come back, if you had a break, you could go to one of the nice bars outside. But thanks for listening to us. We want to show you an example about how we can use Data Hub. Have you ever heard about Data Hub? Italy? Did you hear about Data Hub? Okay, good. Yeah, and a short introduction. This is my colleague. He's young and I'm old. So if you want to use the short version, otherwise this is Jorge. I'm Philipp. We both work at Sulzer Spain, and within Sulzer Spain we work in the subdivision Schrödinger's cat. I don't know if you've heard about Schrödinger's cat. Who of you ever heard about Schrödinger's cat? One, the rest can check it in Wikipedia. That's one side, because we don't know if we are alive or dead until we look at us. And the second thing is because we do Data Hub, we talk about it in the office, and other people, they just don't understand what we are talking about. However, I think we have very exciting possibilities that we can do with Data Hub. We've been here last year in Barcelona 2018. Is there anyone who joined already last year? Okay, some of you, thank you. We had a scenario we showed last year, which we have a short look back to it. Why? Because it's very much related to what we will see today. And then we give a very short introduction about Data Hub, what it is about. Then we will introduce you to building pipelines, which is a necessary activity we have to do to achieve our goal. And yeah, and then we explain you about our showcase, which is a car brand recognition version 2. Yeah. One was last year, where we did, where we included or where we configured HANA database to interact with TensorFlow. TensorFlow is a framework for neural networks. And what we wanted to show is that how we can bring in unstructured data like images and put it to TensorFlow and get the classification, in this case the car, the brand of a given car, as you can see here. So that was last year, and we had this, let's say, HANA in place image recognition. Here a short, shall I say, step-by-step about this direct integration of HANA with TensorFlow as a base for artificial intelligence based on neural networks. And we will show this again. We will do again a brand recognition of the same images. But this time we express this logic by using Data Hub. And why do we think this is of interest? Because it gives us the possibility at the very end to use unstructured data on which we cannot really run directly an analysis. So we classify it and bring it into a structured format, and on which we can start analyzing it. Like how many, in our case, Audi or Seat did we have in our source of images. And yeah, Data Hub is, I understand it like a big umbrella over a bit of partially very heterogeneous data pools we have in the companies. During many years, we just had a look at the ERP managed data, and we had not really the need by then to include external or, how should I say, information which has a far less information of value per megabyte or gigabyte. But now we have this IoT stuff, and we have many additional sources of information. It can be free natural language text. Some of us are tweeting all the time, and others, we take pictures. All this can be stored somewhere. And what Data Hub is bringing in is order. We are currently running a POC with a customer of ours. And
sorry, can you please mute yourself? Philipp is really not to understand.
The connectivity of around 400 systems. So for 400 systems, you want to connect 400 systems so that they can that you can create scenarios of data transformation analytics on top of that. What you need is something that gives you control of that. You cannot work with, how should I say, point-to-point connections, which is where we started in big data integration. The next step is to give control over very complex data flow scenarios. I think that this picture here is showing very well. It's not designed by us, it's designed by SAP. Thanks for sharing it. And you see that we have a lot of different data types and work to do. And on top of this, we want to put something that gives us control and access control to all these different pools we want to put under a single logical umbrella. Yeah. So this is the reason of existence, in my understanding. Literally, I don't know if you want to correct me. Oh, thank you very much. By the way, thank you very much for this fabulous gift. Just received it today. Data Hub. Yeah, thank you, Philipp. And yeah, architecture. So who of you is familiar with other architectures? So we had, for how many decades, we had a database and another application server or several on top of it. And this is where we were happy with. It works still very well. I'm not saying that it's totally different. I'm very much a fan of the ABAP application stack, but Data Hub is very different from the architecture perspective. It's built on, for us as SAP guys, initially quite rare software, which is Docker containers. And this is something where the classical basis guys will initially look like this. Actually, that's what happened to me when I started to understand how Data Hub is operating. It uses Kubernetes in many different areas, so it's everywhere. It's all based on containers. Yeah. This has advantages in terms of how should I say, distributing services. So it's not in a single monolithic block, but we have like different components that interact together and which will be created by the definitions of objects that we generate during a development process. About deployment, it depends. You can install it on premise. We have one on premise installation, and we have a AWS based installation as well. So depending on where you want to deploy it, you have to take care of certain things. If you want to install it on premise, then the red cross indicates you need to take care of that by yourself. So you need to bring your hardware, you need to bring the operating system. It has specific requirements for operating systems. And then there are other deployment options like private cloud. This is managed Kubernetes service, which will bring everything, but you have to install the Data Hub by yourself. Yeah. So depending on where you want to put it, you have to do more work or less. Yeah, and that's what this slide is about. And here I would like to hand over to my colleague Jorge, who wants to introduce you to Data Hub from a functional perspective. All yours. Go ahead.
Thank you, Philipp, for this great introduction to Data Hub. Well, now that you have installed Data Hub, let's start with the funny part of Data Hub, which is playing with it. We have many options when we are using Data Hub, but in this scenario, we are only going to use displaying 4 of them without the connection management, where we can set connection to other data sources. We can also manage our data sets, reviews, and so on with the Metadata Explorer. We can manage our system users permissions in the system management, and in the one I like the most, the pipeline modeler, with which I will show you later a little demo. Well, with the connection management tool, as you can see here, we have set up some connections to HANA database and for HANA TensorFlow server. And here we can establish and set some connections, so we don't have to manually set them up later in the modeler. And we can, once we have set them here, we can easily work with them in the Metadata Explorer later. And we can look also for connection types and add some certificates in case we have some secure connections, so on. With the Metadata Explorer, once we have a connection running, we can look for a data set and publicate it, so we can make it available for other users, from data scientists and so on. We can see the metadata of our data sources. We can, with the fact sheet tool, we can easily see what we have in each data set, and we can validate if we have some new values, so we can make it accessible to our data scientists, so they can populate it with other data sources and so on. With the system management application, here we can add some permissions to users. We can share our data with other users. We can manage our workspace and manage users' passwords and stuff. And with the pipeline modeler, which is this is the main view of the model. We are showing here by default pipeline, which is remember, we are anonymizing some data here. As you can see, we have hundreds of operators, which is the base of this tool, which we can join to work together to get some new data, to connect systems and so on. And when we, well, some of them are for specific tasks, like for example, we can read files from cloud storage, HDFS, or from our local file system. We can submit some Hadoop jobs. We can work with Leonardo Machine Learning Foundation. We can even execute commands, or we can use scripting operators, and we can make that one operator made in JavaScript working with a Python operator just by joining them with our mouse. So as you can see, this is a very powerful tool. And here we have prepared some default pipelines to work with S3, for example, sentiment analysis, and many more.
Maybe just go one second back to the overall overview. So which might look initially quite confusing. We have so many, I don't know, can you read this? The names of the operators? So what you see is that there are extremely heterogeneous languages and type of tasks within one single set. When we have seen the Metadata Explorer, we have a common tool to access completely heterogeneous sources under one hood. Yeah. So this is a very important thing, that if you want to investigate, so where's my data and how does it look like? So you don't have to take care, you don't have to know about the specific front-end tools for Hadoop or for S4 or whatever. You just can do this initial investigation of your data within this single tool, which is, I think, very much of interest. And you see, like, you can connect the W system. You can use HANA flow graphs. You have consumers for many different database types. And what I don't see here, and I think it's something much interest for me, is that you can even include computer vision operators. At least we didn't try it, but I would like to try. Yeah? So imagine you have cameras that are counting people. Yeah? these pictures stream through the data flow and become something you can relate maybe with purchasing behavior in your retail store, things like that. So we bring together a very heterogeneous types of information, and we can put it into targets where we did not think this would have been possible only a couple of years ago. Yeah? And this is why I think where the big strength of Data Hub is definitely given, that you can bring in the one umbrella so many different technologies. You have seen maybe a Go language operator. You have seen the Python operators. You can implement in JavaScript. So you don't have to be an SAP guy in order to work with the Data Hub. So if we come back to the session we had before, the open source possibilities that now exist. So you can use this knowledge. You don't have to be an SAP specialist. Totally the other side around. You have an SAP specialist is just a type of source, maybe a type of target, but it's much wider than what, at least me, during my 20 years I'm working within the SAP environment. I was used to, never considered it. Yeah. So this is just wanted to make a short point to this large set of possibilities that we have. Yeah, and this is about our showcase. We have pictures of our car stored in a Hadoop file system, and then we have something that brings the pictures, controlled by the Data Hub, to a TensorFlow server, which does the image recognition. So we have trained the model in order to get some results. Then classification is happening, and then we put this into a HANA database as a sample target. And if it's in a HANA database, then you have access to it from ABAP. So if you're using AMDPs, for example, you can access it from your S4 system, or the other way around. You upload it into ABAP, and then you put it to somewhere else, classifying, getting like the semantics of the picture out of it. It doesn't have to be a picture; it can also be. We have seen this in the out of the box pipeline here. This is a sentiment analysis. Yeah. So this is natural language processing. Given semantics of free text. If you have hundreds or thousands of tweets or whatever type of free text, you can start classifying it and making it the non-aggregate something which is not directly aggregatable, doesn't exist, which you cannot directly aggregate. You cannot run select count something from my free text. It's not possible. But you can classify it, bring it in a structured format, and then you can start analyzing it. And this is something which I consider for today's challenges and evolution of technology, which is very exciting, at least for me. My wife might not see the beauty in it, but for me as a technologist, I really love this way of thinking of possibility.
Okay. So for today's showcase, we have prepared this pipeline, and the operator we are using here, and the read file, which allows us to bring file from Hadoop to a Data Hub. Then with a JavaScript operator, in this case, we are building an HTTP request. So this operator called HTTP client can communicate with the TensorFlow server, and then the response we are getting from there, we are inputting we're inputting the data into HANA. Could be in real time if we have a camera on a road with cars passing by, but in this case we are using Hadoop, so it's easier for your understanding. So it seems very easy to understand how the flow goes from our Hadoop to the HANA client. Now I will show you how to work. Show time.
Now this is the interesting part, the live demo.
Well, I will show you where we have the files in Hadoop. We have prepared 10 files. Well, as you can see, there are 5 from Audi and another 5 from SEAT. We have labeled the images so you can recognize later in the database which one has been classified and if it corresponds with the results from TensorFlow. And we have let's start this. And we have prepared. Let me log in again. Well, this operator is taking the files from Hadoop to this path, which you can see is the very same here. And now if this loads, okay. Let me go to my schema. Okay, we have here a table. We don't have to create the table before running the pipeline, but in this case we have created it, so you can see this table is already empty. And now we are going to run this pipeline, and you can see how our files will disappear from here. Well, had to start because you can imagine every operator here is like a container running in Kubernetes, and they all are putting together into a pod. Maybe you have heard about pods. So once they start, it takes a while for them to start. Well, now they are running. You can see it here. Let me check if they have disappeared from here. Yeah. So now we go here and refresh the table. As you can see, we have some data now. And for example, this one, which is called Audi and ending in 3599 has been predicted as an Audi with 99%, and we have not failed in none of them. Nope. And this is as easy as this. So we are in one pipeline. We are putting together 3 data sources. One in Hadoop. We are putting together with TensorFlow and with HANA, and it's very easy to make it work together with the help of Data Hub.
Yeah. Last year, someone was asking, can you go back to the prediction table, please?
Yeah.
No, in the result in the studio. Ah. So what we did not do last year, someone asked, we did not apply a left for function. Okay, so this is a real result. Okay, just in case somebody would think into that direction. Yeah, and I think that's it, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So that was our showcase. So what we did is car brand recognition of the pictures. We should have included this maybe in the end again. So the images we just classified were the same ones we used last year. Yeah, and we moved it with Data Hub, transformed it to something we can analyze, we can run queries on it, and we put it into a HANA database. And with that, it's possible to include it in your ERP or business intelligence processes. And that was it. Thank you very much.